Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. A viewer of the show sent me one of the coolest looking Stratocasters that I've ever seen. Now, when we're talking USA, we're just talking the production level ones, like before the custom shop, but this series was initially meant to like bridge the gap between those two. And the model we're going to talk about today is the Fender American Select Stratocaster. Let's go ahead and take a look at just one of the basic ones here. This is not the cool one that I want to show you yet. So these were first introduced in the early 2010s as far as what I can tell. This particular one is a 2012. And I also saw other information showing like different levels of this guitar starting in like late 2013 into 2014, which is the really cool one that I want to show you that's a prototype today. So they didn't have the ultra heel contour yet. They just had this little shaved off one to kind of help make it easier to play in the higher fret access. They had the locking tuners and they had a special medallion back here so you knew it was special. This particular one being made in 2012, but you had all the basic Stratocaster components. It almost looks like this one has a mahogany body, but this neck was nice and flamed. They came with a special case that had the same medallion on the inside as it did on the back of the headstock, or at least the same design right there. And it had a flame maple top veneer to it. And this particular neck was pretty nicely figured, so just a nice basic modernized Stratocaster that looks fancy. Then previous to these, it looks like in the mid-2000s, there was something that shared a very similar name. That was a mahogany Stratocaster. That's kind of cool, with a matching the pickguard black headstock on it. But then the back, pale maple. I don't know if I agree with that. I would have tinted it personally. But it's kind of a cool guitar. But the one I want to focus on today is this. This is a 2013 Fender American Select Stratocaster HSS setup for your pickups, and it's marketed as an exotic one-of-a-kind piece. And oh my, yes, I love this thing. There's so much quirky about it. It looks great. It's actually going to be pretty versatile. I think a lot of people would enjoy playing it. And what is going on here? Okay, so the second thing that's going to catch your eye is all about this top. I have never seen a Stratocaster get such a beautiful top. Now granted, this is just a flame maple veneer. It's not a whole top to these guys, generally. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. I haven't seen the side profile shot of this one. But yeah, looking at this, it's like maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, so it's not paper thin, but it's not like a Les Paul top. But what I love about this is the exact type of flame figuring that I love. It's very wide and wavy, but not yet to quilt territory, and they complemented it so well with this finish. That is gorgeous. Get that kind of caramel tobacco color. It's not too dark on the edges, but dark enough. And then it looks like the back of the body might even be mahogany on this one too. And then it's complemented with this white cream pickguard, same thing with the pickups. This is one great looking Stratocaster. You even have Schaller strap locks, likely stock, because I think I was seeing that on the other ones. But now let's get to the elephant in the room, that neck. What is going on here? This is a 3-piece neck, not something you see from Fender every day. Now Gibson, multi-piece necks are kind of commonplace for their higher end guitars. Now normally you think multi-piece bodies, those are bad, but for some reason, multi-laminate necks are viewed as superior, probably due to strength. I'm sure there's something that you could argue that they're technically stronger because they're more pieces of wood like blended together. But I mean, look at all these things that we're showing you here on the screen. They just look cool, especially when you can mix figuring and everything. So Fender, they decided, what if we use different woods? So you've got a slice of maple, you got a slice of rosewood, and then you got another slice of maple. Now Gibson has done multi-species fretboards before. Check out the review and demo of any of the Les Paul that I've shown, like this one, the Steve Howe the Les Paul. It had an ebony rosewood ebony sandwich, and it just looks so cool. But this one, it's not just the fretboard. It's the entire neck. This continues onto the headstock. And if that wasn't enough, it's also the back. Oh my. Now personally, I don't like it on the headstock. I don't think it looks very good right there, especially on the front. I mean, it's unique, but you don't have the right symmetry. There's just a little bit of maple over here and then a lot of bit of maple over there. You would really need like a Gibson styled headstock in order to pull this off, which kind of gives me some ideas here for a made to measure. So I believe it's this reason right here why this never made it out of the prototyping stages. But I do like how the serial number is just like right here on that maple side. You know, it doesn't look half bad from the back. I'll give them that. So maybe all we need is like to cap this off with a maple veneer, like a flamed maple veneer, and then put the logo on there. That would have been pretty cool because it looks great on that fretboard. I personally love it anyways. But what's even cooler here is they still had to do the skunk stripe, and it looks like they decided to do it maple, so it kind of stood out. So technically, this is a 5-piece neck until you get to like the couple first frets right here before that truss rod channel caps off. And I don't think I've ever seen that on a Fender guitar before, so that just made me smile. But then the back of the body, it's also not dark. I don't like black-backed guitars because they just show scratches and everything. Like, this is going to show the exact same thing, but at least now we can see the wood grain through it. And it has a special prototype stamp on it, which I've never seen before. But then again, I haven't really seen too many Fender prototypes. Now, unfortunately, it's really hard to make out, but apparently the seller claims it reads Corona Prototype, you know, for Corona, California. But wow, is this played? It's actually got some nicks and dings right there. They weren't too careful with that prototype. And this photo right here really helps you see the rest of that neck. So that middle maple piece has completely different wood grain as compared to the other edges. It's a little bit more labor intensive to create a multi-piece neck like that as well, because you gotta glue them together, cut them the right size, join them together, make them look good. But looking down and playing this would be such a visual treat every day. And I kind of like the fact that it's not bound. Like the V Les Pauls we were just talking about, they have binding that's like multi-ply, has a whole bunch of different colors on it. It kind of steals the show. But on this one, it's just that center streak that takes your eyes. So simplistic, but beautiful at the same time. It's just such a cool guitar. Now, you might be wondering, how much do they want for this prototype? Is it like $8,000? No, it's $3.5. The person who sent this to me thought it was ridiculously overpriced, and I will say there definitely is a premium to this, especially since it does appear to have a couple of scratches, nicks, and dings, but it's unique. I haven't seen Fender do it before. It's got the original case. It's got the prototype stamps on it. Like, I love prototypes that are designated prototypes. Apparently underneath the pickguard, there's also another one of those stamps. Wouldn't surprise me if there's one on the base of the neck too. But to find out how much of a premium was actually placed on this, you know, that's what got me looking at these other ones, and you find the different runs. But I was able to find one other one that was kind of similar, because sometimes you look at these, they're just, you know, flame top Strats. They're not my favorite. But it appears they gave them, you know, the nice wood grain on the necks for most of them as well. But then I was looking at this one, and it caught my attention. Whoa, this one's not a prototype, but it's got the channel bound neck. Now, if you want to learn more about channel bound necks and see one up close, you can check out my custom ordered Antiqua telly that had one of those back when you could custom spec one of those on Fender's mod shop. That was a very cool guitar. I do not regret doing that episode at all. But this one, you know, it's a little bit brighter of a color than I would personally prefer, but it's got a beautiful quilty maple top. And this is an SSS setup, so maybe you just need one of each of these. But there is a very early channel bound neck. I'm not sure when Fender first started that. But this, if you just wanted it to be like a faux binding, they've got you going for that. But then you've got like these dark orange-like inlays. Is that wood? I'm not really sure. But this one was made up in 2013. You've got the locking tuners. And ooh, that's got a lot of damage along the edge. How does that even happen? I guess it's possible the finish wasn't applied properly and it just started chipping, but more likely it got dropped at some point in time that caused a little bit of an air pocket or a ding, and then it just started chipping from there. But it does appear to be a two-piece body, and oh, I love that wood grain. That's great there. It's like a caramel macchiato type thing with the colors as well, like a dark chocolate with some caramel on top. It's a delicious looking guitar. And then it's got all the same other specs. But you're going to notice on this one, they just did the channel bound neck. It doesn't continue on to the headstock. So I don't know if that other one was a prototype for what eventually became this. And they basically had the exact same thoughts that I was just telling you. It didn't necessarily look that good on the headstock, but instead of capping it off with some sort of a veneer, they just decided, oh, let's just channel bound the neck. Oh. Okay, apparently they started that in 2013. So does that mean this is the prototype for channel bound necks? If you could prove that, I think you could be onto something here. Did this give them the idea in order to do that? I think owning an early channel-bound neck in general, like on this one, would be pretty cool if this Google search is correct that 2013 was the first one. I mean, it seems to be legit. That comes from Fender's website. Apparently, it's got a compound radius fingerboard as well. Like, going into this video, I did want to save it for a full review and demo, but I was a little bit sketched out on the price at first. But the more and more I learn about this, the more it's like, okay, I think this makes sense. It's got so many cool, quirky specs to it. It might not seem worth it to like just a regular guitar player because some of these you can pick up for like $1,500. But this guy on a different channel bound neck version, he's asking, $28 plus shipping. That's $3,000. He's in the UK. It's hard to find completed sales of the channel bound neck version, and you can find all the other different various ones. There we go. Wow, only $1,500. That must have sold a long time ago. That one looks like a Carina body almost. I like that. It's like, what is going on? Holy cow. I gotta get me one of these. They are cool. I just like channel bound necks in general, but the fact that they have a beautiful top to them, this probably sold years ago. Well, only 10 months ago for $1,500? Jeez. And by a dealer? That was a steal. I was fully expecting that to be like, 5-10 years ago when that one sold. Yeah, apparently that channel bound neck doesn't show up too often. What is this one? I don't think I've ever seen that before. The rosewood neck, which I'm not a big fan of, I just don't like the way that they feel on Fenders. Now, PRS's, on the other hand, I love the rosewood neck there. But then they inlaid it with maple. That's kind of cool. This was a whole guitar. I was fully expecting that just to be a neck. Yeah, put like a bird's eye one in there or a flamed one. That's kind of cool. Like that looks a little bit more traditional as well with like that dark binding. I don't think I prefer it as much as the rosewood inlaid one or an ebony fretboard, but that's pretty cool, especially with that like reddish finish right here. It has a very evil vibe. Not really digging the color of the headstock though. That's the other thing I never liked about those is the Fender logo gets kind of too hidden in my opinion when they do the laser etching. But this thing sold for around $2,500. Here's one that sold for $2,000. Here's just the neck for $800. Yeah, now we're starting to find them. So it seems 18 to 25 is about right whenever you can find them. So this is listed at just a little bit more than what it would normally sell for. And granted, this isn't exactly a channel bound neck, but it is an original prototype. So $1,000 premium over top of that. I think it's realistic for a piece of Fender history if this is indeed like a prototype to the channel bound necks. It's not in that bad a shape either. I would say it's a fair deal. Now, as far as me buying it, reviewing, documenting it, and then being able to find another home, it's very tempting. It's very tempting for me just to add it to my cart right now and proceed to check out, and then just click continue right here. But unfortunately, I don't have any money left after buying the Carinas. The family's living on pork and beans until I could sell some guitars. So hopefully I can get some reviews and demos done to give you guys some more offerings. Because right now on my reverb shop, I've got things like the Franken Strat. That's actually going to sell within the next couple of days. The Rocky Strat, I'm surprised that hasn't sold yet. Now, Firebird Prototype number 1, $20,000. It takes a very esteemed collector to appreciate that piece, but that's one. I'm not in a hurry to sell that thing. So I don't have much here, but do realize I sell most of my stuff on my website now. We've got the Noventa Jazzmaster. I do have one last Kirk Douglas SG if anybody's interested. And we've got those SGs and of course, my more personal collection stuff. So ultimately, I think I'll leave this for someone else. I don't see it lasting long, but I'm glad I was able to at least talk about it on this video because that is a real keeper of a piece. It's unique, it's a little bit crazy, it represents a part of Fender history, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning about this guitar today. Alright, Troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.